go ahead and hop in here. So see some familiar faces. Thanks so much for hopping in today, obviously, and for a bunch of the other times that I've seen you guys here. For those that are going to watch on YouTube, thanks for joining us today. Welcome back to another episode of the Sales Trenches. I'm Ryan Dosen, Director of Sales here at Host Merchant Services. We're going to have some other team members, or at least one other team member on here hopefully today. Eric L. is not going to be with us today, but hopefully our VP of Sales, Chris Clements, will also be here today. I want to encourage you guys, if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and type them into the chat, and we'll do our best to give you guys good answers there, whether it's in the chat or whether it's here just to talk about it. I did have a bunch of questions sent in, and so I wanted to go ahead and address those. But before we get into that, again, here at Host, your all's success as independent sales agents is our top priority, right next to having your merchants have an amazing experience with us as their payment processor. You and your merchants get 24/7 US-based tech support with Host Merchant Services. We are the gold standard, and that's verified by all the reputable sources online. If anyone ever wants to go check that out. You have personal relationship managers that help you all achieve streamlined and solid approvals for all of your merchants. We get them up and running quickly. You also have access to a fairly unmatched selection of payment technologies, both physical devices, terminals like from Valor, Deja Vu, and Genico Swipe Simple, just to name a few. Also some great software technology that's available to you exclusively as partners of Host Merchant Services. Our Cloud Manager software is really taken off. It's getting adopted at a very rapid pace, and our software team is rolling out updates and improvements every 2 weeks is the cadence for the updates there. So if it's been a little while since you've taken a look at what Cloud Studio can do for your merchants, you might want to take another look. Reach out to me or your relationship managers. We'll get you the latest up-to-date stuff there. So again, without further ado, we'll hop back into the trenches here today. And again, the goal today was to take a little bit of a pause from, just sending a ton of information to you guys about the, Chris is. All right, so we should see here in a second. All right, so yeah, our goal so far has been to give you guys the tools and information you need about the technology, and solutions that you guys have at your fingertips, educating you about all the best ways to sell all the different payment technologies, and in what cases a technology is a good fit, in what cases it's not a good fit. So you make sure you're not only securing a relationship with a merchant, but that you're putting them in the best possible tech so that they have a great experience. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen here. So again, welcome back to the Sales Trenches Q&A episode today. Got a lot of good questions from you guys. We'll go ahead and address some of those really fast. About the Sales Trenches, this series is about real-world payment sales conversations, competitive positioning, how to position yourselves and your solutions to win new merchants, practical strategy you can use immediately. The goal is for you guys to take some nuggets from each one of these sessions and be like, I can use that to help me close a deal. So again, not a lot of fluff, not a lot of theory, just field tested stuff that's going to help you close merchants. Okay. And again, go ahead and type in your questions and we'll have some time to answer some. And if we're not able to get to them today, we'll definitely hop in and follow up with you after the fact. So I'm going to start with some of the questions that you guys sent in ahead of time. We did do a webinar a few months ago on ACH. Did get some questions, some additional questions on ACH. There's a lot of confusion because, again, a lot of times people are going in, we want to get the credit card processing, but at the same time, many merchants want to be able to take ACH solutions. And so there's a little bit of confusion as to, what technology is going to support ACH, what are the margins on ACH? Is there markup on the ACH? So again, how does it work? Markup, different applications, which tech supports it. So I'm going to exit out of here and I'm going to actually pull up really quickly the webinar from the last time we did the ACH webinar. So let's go ahead and hop in here. We're going to go through a few slides. Um, I'm not going to go too deeply on all of this, but again, automated clearinghouse. But I think we all know, basically people are putting their banking information as opposed to processing things by credit card. Okay. We're not going to go through the roadmap, but again, if you want these slides, there's also the full YouTube video on ACH if you want some more information on that. But really fast today, if you're in with a merchant and you're trying to figure out which solutions can I even offer, HMS Pay, Authorize.net, NMI, Fluid Pay, Deja Vu, Deja Vu's iPOS Pays. Okay. And Deja Vu's iPOS Pays, we have a partnership with Paya that integrates with Deja Vu. Okay, so you can put your merchants, you can offer these solutions to merchants in confidence, knowing that if they need ACH, they're going to be able to achieve that. Okay, a little bit more about Paya, just because an interesting thing about Paya is that there is a possibility for markup. Okay, so a lot of times with ACH, it's just kind of a flat rate. The merchant does have to usually pay an additional monthly fee in order to allow for ACH payments. And there's usually certain buy rates, or there's usually a certain just flat cost for ACH. And so again, in our business, there's usually going to be a markup on credit cards, and that's going to be part of your residuals and how you're making money. With some ACH solutions, markup's not possible, and so the opportunity is much smaller for residuals with ACH, depending upon the technology you're using. But if you do use Paya, there is an ability to earn residuals off of markup. Okay. Just a quick snapshot here in terms of what the pricing looks like. Again, you're able to see right here, some have a setup fee in the beginning, so it's an additional fee that your merchants need to be aware of. Some are actually just about all, or almost all. There is a monthly fee for having ACH enabled. There are costs per transaction. Auth.net actually does have basis points that are being paid as opposed to a flat rate of cents per transaction. And TSYS does have an ACH quarterly fee. Okay, so instead of the monthly fee, so it's kind of but anyway, so this is just a quick snapshot here of some of the things that are available. And again, with ACH markup and more opportunity for residuals, you're going to want to probably do something that's going to involve Paya. And again, like a Deja Vu iPOS Pays, Paya plays well with that. Okay. All right. So that was a quick snapshot on some of your all's questions on ACH. Okay. So let's go ahead and hop back in here. We talked about different applications, which tech supports. I think we got those questions answered there. All right. We got another question on gift cards and reward programs. Okay. So we did another webinar several months ago on sticky solutions. So I'm going to actually pull that one up really fast as a quick refresher. Again, I want to encourage you all, if you weren't able to attend the ACH webinar, the sticky solutions webinar, remember these webinars all will make their way to YouTube. I've got a bunch more I've got to upload here over the next couple of days, and then this one will probably go live in a week or so on YouTube. But again, we've got a really nice learning library for you guys. We've had a lot of requests for, hey, what can you be doing to educate us, or even for new agents, hey, do you have like an onboard training program? So what we're doing here is we're trying to bring you all the latest information live in these weekly webinars to get info in your hands right away, but we're also trying to create a library for you that you can go back to and refresh your memory if you do have a particular merchant, right? So if you're going into a vertical, especially a merchant in a vertical maybe that you're not super familiar with, you want to go to our YouTube channel and you want to check out and see if we've talked about it. Maybe you missed a webinar where we talked about it and we can do a deep dive. You can do a deep dive at your convenience right there and you can learn up on it there. So anyway, let's talk really fast about gift cards and loyalty programs. Anyway, all right, we'll just go ahead. we can proceed without him here in case he's not able to get in. All right, so let's share our screen. All right, so in here for gift cards and loyalty programs, again, we did this webinar recently on sticky solutions. So let me go ahead, hop in here. All right, so again, you want to think about rewards programs and things like that, gift cards even. These are sticky solutions in the sense that they're going to cause your merchants to stick around a long time, right? So you're bringing additional value to them. You're helping them do things for their clients and customers. But the more of those sticky solutions that they're participating in, have their clients participating in, the less likely they are to upend everything and go leave you and work with someone else. Okay. And also, if you're doing a bunch of stuff to help them win business, why would they ever want to go anywhere? Okay. So again, when you're thinking about rewards programs or gift cards, these are beneficial to the clients, but they're also in the mind of the merchant. They start thinking about if anyone even talks to them about moving, they're going to start thinking, oh my gosh, I've got gift cards floating around out there. I've got rewards programs that people have already signed up for. I don't know if those can transfer. They probably can't. And then they wind up not calling. So I think I mentioned this back on this webinar. At the time I was doing this, I was speaking with a merchant at the time, and she had almost called us many times, but I was able to pull out of her that it was the fact that she had a ton of gift cards floating around out there that had prevented her from reaching out and trying to find a new payment processor because her fees were getting exorbitant. But finally, there was a support issue and the straw broke the camel's back. And so she finally reached out. At the end of the day, it was actually very easy for us to transfer everything. But in her mind, it was going to be very difficult or it was going to be too much hassle. So she wasn't even going to try to leave, right? So like in our case, this was business that came our or didn't come our way for a very long time because the previous processor had her in a sticky solution and we were able to get it, we were able to move her and it was a lot easier than she realized, but she didn't know that. Okay. So for gift cards, the primary solution that a lot of our merchants wind up using is Factor 4. So I just wanted to share that with you. You all remember, you all have relationship managers, so you should reach out to them if there's a particular rewards program or gift card program that you're either interested in or you're wanting to possibly move a merchant that's currently with another solution. Our team can figure out what logistically has to happen in order to do that, handle that migration. Okay. Um, some additional rewards programs. You've got Valor's Engage My Customer. Okay. And this is a solution that I think adds about $10 a month to the cost of, everything of the tech stack that comes with Valor. Again, with Engage My Customer, if you have someone on Valor, you can even, when you bundle everything, it's not even a full $10 a month more. It might be another $6 or $8 a month more. Again, you're going to be able to send digital offers at point of sale. You're going to get real-time engagement. You're going to have loyalty and rewards programs. Okay, so I'm not going to take a deep dive on it. You can go back to the webinars before and see it, but Engage My Customer is one. They have a lot of reasons for doing it. Again, the cost is normally $9.95 per month plus 5 cents per text, but when you bundle it, I guess it was more like $7, something like that. Okay, Deja Vu has their Deja Vu Extra program, their extra rewards. This one, I believe, is more comprehensive. It's also more expensive. I want to say we recently, in the past month or so, signed someone up. I want to say there was a $50 tier and a $100 tier. There's a lot more that goes into this one than the Deja Vu or than the Valor Engage My Customer. But again, it's something that a lot of people like. Okay. You can go back in here. There's also fast enrollments. People join a club. Again, it's going to create a sticky situation where people are going to be around a long time. All right. So those are the primary gift card program, again, is going to be Factor 4. Now, I want to mention one thing really fast that actually has been rolled out very recently. So for those of you that have clients on the Cloud Studio Manager, the Cloud Manager softwares, we've recently rolled out digital gift cards, gift certificates in Cloud Studio Manager. Okay, so for businesses that are going to be a fit for Cloud Studio Manager, this is a gift card program that's literally, this is another thing that's built in for free for these merchants. They don't have to pay for this, right? So again, you see a lot of these other technologies, these are add-ons that people are having to pay for. With Cloud Studio Manager, again, it's yet another thing, item of value that's being provided to your merchants for free, and it is still for life. And I know I keep saying that it's not going to be free forever. It's not, but it is currently still free forever. And there have been a lot of upgrades. It got a facelift, so the way it just presents visually, it looks a lot better. And it has a lot more functionality in it. So really want to encourage you all to think about that solution again for your merchants. It's just been a home run for so many people so far. All right, some additional questions. So, how do you re-engage someone who hasn't replied in weeks? So, this was kind of a general question, and I want to take a slightly open-ended approach to it at first, right? So, we've all had people that there's been some engagement with. It was a lead that was hot and now it's warm or it's gone cold. What do we do to re-engage so that we can try to close the business? So I've probably told this story at least once during the series for those of you that maybe have been there for it in the past. But my dad was a pretty good financial planner back in the day, and he told me, Ryan, sometimes you have to manufacture a reason to follow up with your clients, or in this case, a lead. Okay. So what you don't want to be doing is reaching out to someone who hasn't replied in a few weeks, being like, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Because what does that translate to? Right. It's like you're like a piranha or something like that, or like um, are you ready for me to make money off you yet? Are you ready for me to make money off you yet? Right. So what Brian Dosen would have said is he would say, well, you need to think back to the relationship. You need to think about things you guys talked about. You maybe need to do a little bit of research as to what's going on in their lives or what's going on in their business or what's happening around their even the entire business in general so that you can follow up with them. And what my dad's go-to line was, hey, I saw this and I was thinking about you today. How's this impacting your business? Is this interesting for you? Saw this thing that might be helpful for you, right? If you're reaching out to them because you're thinking about them, if you're reaching out to them because you're calling to offer value or to follow up and offer value, that's a much warmer and friendlier touch and one that people are going to be much more receptive to. Okay. So again, re-engagement with a lead or someone who hasn't replied in weeks. Yes, sometimes you have to work for it, right? If I knew where they were on social, I'd go check social, right? And I might be like, well, what's been going on? Hey, I saw this. Hey, Ryan, I saw your son was just recognized at the Citadel. Man, that's awesome. How does he feel? Right? So my son was recognized a couple weeks ago. The freshman knobs get recognized, you know, late into their first year. Then they're allowed to be humans. But anyway, so like if someone wanted to re-engage me, the right approach isn't being like, hey, Ryan, are you ready for me to do business with? Or are you ready for us to do business? You don't want to do that every time, right? It could be something from a conversation. You do a little due diligence on me and you say, oh, there's the post. Ryan's son was recognized. I'll call him about that. Follow up, not about business, but to reopen the doors. So anyway, those are some ideas there. What do you do when a deal is basically closed, but then the equipment pricing stalls everything out at the last minute? Yeah, I mean, so that's a tough one too, and I think we've all had merchants that just the cost of the switch was going to be too much. Now, for you all as agents, look, I've got a lot of agents that what they'll do is they will eat the cost of the payment technology to get rid of that obstacle, right? And they'll say, Ryan, I'm going to cover this one because they don't want to pay for tech. I'll pay $300 for the device. I just want to be able to say that I'm providing the device, for free, right? And you're able to look at what you expect them to do in terms of business, and you can see how long it's going to take for you to make back your money, and then you make an educated business decision, and go with it, right? Now, obviously, not all equipment's $300. It could be thousands of dollars. I had a merchant almost a year ago that had, like, we were really working on. It was I think the guy had 25 owned movie theaters, something like that, and the cost of the terminals was an issue, not just for like it was going to be thousands of dollars for him, but it was also a situation where um, it was going to be, if we were going to eat it, right? Like, are we going to really eat 10, $15,000 for the relationship up front? We eventually figured something out where we were going to take a loss for a while. We were going to be in the red in the relationship for about 9 months, 6 to 9 months, something like that. But we figured it out. Um, And then Heartland undercut us, matched our rates, and pulled a card of um, there's gonna be a big termination penalty or something like that. So it wound up not working. But again, we didn't just give up when, oh, well, he said I don't want to buy devices, Ryan, right? So we didn't give up there. We figured it out. We wound up not winning the deal, unfortunately. But we did figure it out. Okay. I keep hearing different things about WEX compatibility with gas station, POS systems, and pumps. Simplest way to evaluate whether their current equipment will work or if they need an upgrade. All right, so first things first, I just did a webinar on gas stations and WEX. Might have been last week or the week before. I don't know if that's going to be part of the upload today, but there's going to be a much more full breakdown on gas stations and how to approach gas stations, uploaded to YouTube in a week or two, something like that. Maybe tomorrow. I don't think it's in this batch for tomorrow. But first things first, you want to, well, first of all, in terms of terminals that are going to be compatible with WEX, most of them are not, but VL550, FD150. So those are tech that you have access to with Host. So if you have someone that needs a terminal that's going to be compatible with WEX, VL550, FD150. Okay. With regard to the pumps, quick visual, my notes of quick visual check. If the pump does not have a chip reader, it's probably not. It's probably not ready for it, right? You want to look for the chip slot and contactless. So if that means that there's basically no EMV, at the pump, and if that's the case, they're almost always going to need an upgrade. And if it needs EMV, it likely will also, or if it gets EMV, it's going to likely need some work done, for accepting WEX and Voyager. Another question I had was next day funding cutoff times. So we had a situation last week where a merchant did not get funded the next day, and they didn't understand why. And I said, well, okay, when did they batch out? And they batched out at 8:30. Okay, so they were on TSYS and they batched out at 8:30 p.m. And so then I had to message the agent back and say, well, they batched out too late, right? So the cutoff time, the next day cutoff for TSYS is 8 p.m. Okay. So is 8 p.m. Eastern, right? So now I've got a laundry list here. I'm not going to bore you all to death, but I've got times in here anywhere from 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern. Um, there's different ones for 8 p.m. There's an 11 p.m. Mavericks 11 p.m. Anyway, so again, there's a lot of you are boarding business on TSYS, so 8 p.m. is kind of the big 8 p.m. Eastern is the big time, for you to be aware of. Anything after that, it's gonna not fund the next day. It'll be the next day. So you got to be aware of that. Another thing, some of you work in the high risk space. Okay, so with the high risk space, these these deals typically are not going to fund next day. These are typically going to be 2 to 3 day fundings. So just be aware of that. Maverick auto accounts usually set up for 2 day funding. Um, all right, batching after 11 p.m. Eastern will mean merchant won't get their funds until 3 days later, right? So if they batched out, they're high risk, they batch out at 11:30. It's 2 business days, but that's going, it's going to be 3 days from 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. tonight. So it's 3 days from today if we get it out that late. Um, FD North merchants who close their batches before 9:50 p.m. Eastern typically be next day. I have some 9:30, some 8 o'clocks. So anyway, we have an internal laundry list for cutoff times. These can be a big deal, right? So like that merchant unfortunately was really upset because they were expecting to have money the next day, right? Which was going to be a Friday. So this was a Thursday night. So they were not happy about not getting their money the next day. Right. So you want to make sure that you're being very clear with your merchants as to when those funding cutoffs are and when they need to have stuff batched out. And so with this particular merchant, we went back and we set him up for auto batch at like 7:45, p.m. every day so that he makes sure that he's going to be getting funded the next day. All right. So I did not think we were going to run over, but we are running over. So are some of the past webinars available for watch on demand? Yes, yes. I think I know this was an early question on our YouTube channel. All the prior webinars are available on there. And again, we're just a little bit delayed. We have them clean it up a little bit, and put little attractive openers and closers and stuff like that on there. So they do a little bit of post-production work before they go on YouTube, but they will be on there. Is there currently a POS system that HMS supports that has a caller ID identifier built in so that when a customer calls in, the POS will pick up the phone number automatically and pull up the correct customer profile? That is a great question, and I would assume so. The guy that knows the tech the best in the group, Eric, is not here right now. So, Epic POS, please send me an email about this and I will get you an answer to it. And obviously, if anyone else wants that same answer, please reach out to me as well. For those of you that are going to watch this delayed on YouTube, and it's a Q&A episode, but I always encourage you guys to reach out to me. Sure thing. So I always encourage you guys to reach out to me if you ever have any questions along the way, as well as your RM. So let me go ahead and let me share my screen again here. Here we go. All right, so we'll share current slide. And then we will be back live next week. We're not going to do Q&A again. We're going to hop back into more, a specific topic and take a deep dive on it. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for future topics, go ahead and let me know. Again, I've got my contact info down here. Again, if you wanna get that answer, I'll ask you, please go ahead and send me an email. A reminder, I don't want to forget to get that for you. Just take a picture, screen grab of this, and you can reach out to me. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. Sorry I ran long. I didn't think we were going to run long, but you never know with Q&A. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us. See you back here next week.